Halt! It appears our video equipment has caught fire?
What's this?
What is going on?
Our sexy voices are happening before the pre-roll?
It's like a pre-roll?
All right, let me tell you what happened.
Let's get straight with you guys.
For those of you listening on the audio formats, everything is fine.
It's fine.
Nothing
Just
has changed.
Carry on with your day.
For those of you who have made the effort to seek
jump
out our YouTube
yes.
and see our sexy faces,
yes,
there won't be those for this episode.
Well, there will be right now.
Oh, sure.
But then you'll notice...
Wait. I just winked.
Yeah, they
Anyway.
You'll notice that after the intro, our sexy faces return to the previous format of sexy voice only. We had video troubles.
Some technical issues.
Some technical issues.
So
but rest assured, we fixed them, and we already recorded a episode, so it's not like we haven't fixed it.
Whoa, bleep that.
Yeah, don't let them know. Well, no, they'll...
So the audio is still there for you guys to listen to and enjoy. Again, leave some comments in the YouTube or the Instagram YNST podcast, and let us know how you feel about the show.
That's our Twitter too, isn't it?
Probably.
All socials.
We'll be back on track with the video on the YouTubes, but until then, enjoy the audio.
You never seen that. I'm assuming that's what's happening right now.
It's the early 1980s, and the spirit of innovation in personal computing is about to catch fire. Hot on the trail is a renegade trio, a visionary, an engineer, and a prodigy, who risk everything to realize their vision of building a computer that can change the future. Not long after IBM corners the market with its flagship PC, a flaw is discovered in its operation, opening the door for competition.
This week on You've Never Seen That, Halt and Catch Fire.
From Atlanta, Thornton
But one objective.
What color I see? Then you maintain the static.
December 7th, night.
You never seen that! You never seen that!
Welcome back to yet another episode of the You've Never Seen That podcast, the show where two dudes watch a random episode of a random TV show they've never seen before, and then they discuss the plot, the characters, and the fandom surrounding it.
Got it.
If you are listening or watching, it's 1980.
It's 1980 something.
I'm not sure how you're listening to this because IBM hasn't put out the
PC.
The Dell. Oh, that's Dell. I was gonna say Dell Jukebox. The Dell Jukebox.
So you were about to say that IBM hadn't come out with the Dell Jukebox by Apple? Yeah. That's what it was? 80s were a weird time, man.
I had a Dell Jukebox.
Uh-huh.
Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Coolest kid on the block.
I guess, yeah.
Everyone else had those like 50 CD booklets that they would carry with them, and I was like, listen, I've got every Blink-182 song on this cartridge.
Man, that was so much cooler than my one brown Zune.
And before that, you just had a McDonald's hit clips.
Yeah. Yes, I did.
Welcome back to
it was
1980.
The Bare Naked Ladies, 1 week.
This week, we are watching an AMC original show called...
Oh, is this AMC original?
Halt and Catch Fire.
Halt and Catch Fire, yes.
That has been your joke since we found out we were watching this.
The last episode, yeah.
The show is titled Halt and Catch Fire on AMC. And you didn't even know the show existed. Actually, producer Josh also didn't even know the show existed.
Yeah.
No idea.
I feel like you're jumping into it a little bit.
Well, I was just going to say, last week when we pulled this out of the hat, I was actually very excited. Because I have friends who like the show.
Yeah.
People have told me it's good.
Yes.
AMC is...
Told you it was good as well.
AMC
check my emails.
Slaps.
From AMC here. It's
good.
It
says
it's
slaps.
good. Slaps, yep.
I think, can you look up the
I believe that I looked it up on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's like 9.4.
The thermometer had it as a whole-ass mood.
The good old thermometer.
Thermometer.
But yeah, no, my point was I thought it was very interesting that neither of you had even heard of this show. Because
I'm gonna tell you this one. There are some shows that we've pulled that I've only heard the name in casual conversation. Wow, 90% on
Have
the
you-
thermometer and 90% critic score.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Have you ever met a person named Holton?
Are you excluding me reading about it in Catcher in the Rye when I was in high school?
Is there a person named Holton in Catcher in
He's
the Rye?
the main character in Catcher in the Rye.
Oh, I thought it was
Halt. Halt and?
Halt and.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so no, I thought it was very interesting that when we pulled this show out of the hat, I was like super pumped, and the two of you were like, I don't know what this is.
I had nothing for you.
So, I mean, we can kind of just dive right in. What we knew about the show. I can start.
Yeah.
I knew it had to do with
Can we stop?
for.
Who the hell are you two?
Oh,
Oh!
shit!
Oh, man. This is why we have him. This is why you're here.
Well, welcome back to the show. It's another week of the You Never Seen That Podcast show. We're back Halt and Catch Fire. This sexy voice belongs to ya boy Bell.
Yes. Perfect. Beautiful.
Wow.
And this other sexy voice is Dr. Michael Haas.
Oh boy.
Here's the thing. Didn't realize we didn't do that. Completely blew by
I
it.
don't know.
Here we are.
We've done this 104 times.
Yes. So here we are.
People, you should know who we are by now.
Yeah. Could you imagine if this is someone's first episode and they're like, but who are they?
Isn't this 100? This is the 105th.
I think this is 100. This is 105.
105.
This might even be 106. No, because we stopped at 99.
106.
No, it's 105.
Okay, so back to my point.
Yes. Which was?
I knew it was AMC.
Yeah. Right.
This is where the in the YouTube you'll see
Yeah,
some visual graphics that say this is the What Did They Know section.
Oh.
I knew it was AMC. I knew it had to do with hackers or technology.
Sure. You're just thinking Mr. Robot.
I thought it was like Mr. Robot-esque.
Okay.
Did not know it was completely about computers and video games.
Yep.
I also didn't know that it was 1980.
Uh-huh.
I thought it was just like, we're going to break the government and we're going to hack and then we're going to halt and then we're going to catch fire and then...
It sounds like you also knew nothing about this, but in a more elaborate way. Like we just honestly were like never heard of it.
I knew that it was like tech and computers and hacking and
right,
and
Battlestar Galactica,
enhancing and jQuery databases and.
Do you think if we sit here and we pretend to be like typing on our computers, producer Josh will put a picture on the screen and then we can just go enhance. Enhance.
At this point, I don't really
Enhance,
know.
and he'll just keep blowing up the
I don't
image.
really know what producer
He'll do
Josh
whatever
is
he
going to do.
wants. Who knows?
He could be making us look like complete idiots right now.
You know, I would love nothing
On-
more
on the
if I
YouTube.
would love nothing more if I said that, and while I was saying that he would do that, a black bar just appears that says no.
I mean, it's probably
Who knows?
it's
It could be
probably
there.
right there.
It might be up there.
Anyway,
Could be anywhere.
so that's what I knew about the show. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like I knew a good chunk, but I was like, it's one of those things where I was like,
Okay.
I was like 80% there,
Yeah.
and then the last 20, I was.
Would you
like,
say you were
"Oh."
the 1980s percent there?
Um,
No, you wouldn't say that. It doesn't sound like you'd say that.
no.
Okay, all right, you wouldn't say that.
No.
All right, that's fair.
What did you know? Oh,
I'm gonna
nothing.
Yeah, let me I took some very detailed notes, and
Cool.
let me tell you, what did I know about this show? Literally nothing. I didn't even know it existed before we pulled it out of the hat. That's almost
that's
verbatim.
exactly what it says
That's
on your notes.
verbatim.
That is so crazy because I
didn't-
think it's 4 seasons.
Yeah, it did.
4 or 5
I was
seasons.
surprised to find out it had as many
Um,
episodes as it did. Yes, producer Josh.
As you had said before, the thermometer.
Yes, the thermometer.
Thermometer has
Tometer.
given it like 90%.
Yeah, the critic score had it 90% too. So that's
the people that I know who have watched this show like love it.
Mhm.
I will
question.
say,
jQuery for you.
sure.
Do you actually know someone who's like up on this show?
Who
Who was like, yo, I just finished season 4 of Halt and Catch Fire. Wild.
Can you look up the latest season? Is it still airing or is the show over?
I think season 4 was the most recent one on Netflix when we went to watch it.
Yeah.
Season 4 was 2017.
So it's
for
probably
sure
done.
The show spanned from 2014 to 2017.
Okay, so 4
okay.
seasons.
Yeah. Okay. So it's over.
It's been over
It's
for 3.5-ish years, 4
Uh-huh.
years.
or maybe that 5th season is just fucking wild.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm surprised that more people aren't talking about this show. AMC is pretty popular.
I'm a little surprised now to find out that it's been off the air for that long. Like, I would imagine this is going to be one of those cult classics like Breaking Bad, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super dorky when it comes to this stuff, but like I like to read the producer credits and stuff.
Oh, right.
And I've noticed
Chuck Lorre.
Right. But I've noticed a lot of the same producer credits on this show are also producers or involved in Breaking Bad and
Better Call
Saul.
Okay, that
Like
explains it.
Sharon Bialy, that's a name. That doesn't mean anything to anybody, but if you do know, Sharon.
Sharon,
You
long
do
time friend of the show, Sharon Bialy. Also longtime friend of the show, Catherine Hahn.
Ah, yes.
Yeah,
I am.
She does a lot of producing.
I'm a Han Stan, if
yeah,
you will.
you stun
Oh.
Han. Okay, yeah. Anyway,
Why are people listening to this show?
yeah, because we're show friends with Catherine Hahn.
Right.
Yeah.
So you knew nothing. I knew
Literally
I knew
nothing.
80% with our powers combined.
We know.
Watching one episode out of context. We will.
I thought you were gonna say you knew nothing. I knew 80%. So with our powers combined, we knew 80%.
That's very interesting. So watching this episode,
I want to real quick. Can I talk about something about this episode? About this show?
I believe that's kind of
the whole
point.
That's the whole bit of what we're doing here.
Entire podcast. Yes.
Okay, so Halt and Catch Fire
Correct.
sounds like a very Hunger Games-esque thing, doesn't it?
I did have some notes about Hunger Games as well.
Because Catching Fire is the name of one of
Yeah.
the Hunger Games. Mackenzie Davis, who
Yes.
plays Cameron,
Yeah.
looks like she belongs in a Hunger Games movie.
Um,
If for no other reason than maybe she's like vaguely looks like Jennifer Lawrence.
She has been in a lot of stuff, and again we're jumping ahead because the character point doesn't come till later. We still have to talk about who we think the show is.
a lot of some people who have never heard of the show are like, who's Mackenzie Davis? Who's Cameron?
She's great.
She's good. She's a very good actor.
She's been in a lot
Very
of
good
stuff.
actor.
She's been in an episode of Black Mirror.
Yes.
She was also in a movie called Tully,
Mhm.
which, if you haven't seen, is wonderful, highly emotional. Oh yeah, there we go. She
was also in Blade Runner.
Terminator: Dark Fate, which is obviously everyone's favorite Terminator.
Yes, obviously. It's like that one and then Genesis.
she's one of those kind of like young actresses that like you have seen in a bunch of stuff. You don't know her name, and she's on the cusp of like becoming
More of like a household
someone,
name. Yeah.
right? But anyway, we'll get into the
Well, you know
character.
what's interesting though is I wonder if like her career in particular, it's being at this show is so under the radar. It's like off air now.
Right.
It's so under the radar, but it's a good show, right? AMC doesn't make bad shows.
Right.
That I wonder if more people aren't going to look back, 5 years from now and go like, oh, she was in Halt and Catch Fire.
Producer Josh, did this show get any
Awards?
I'm breaking the rules of hitting the microphone.
Yeah,
and
you're not supposed to do that.
I have a glass.
it
I have a
did-
glass bottle. That's
It is award. Yeah, this is a.
yeah. Did this get any like nominations for? Looks like Emmy awards. Halt and Catch Fire.
Primetime Emmy
Primetime
Award?
Primetime
Award.
Emmy
Yes.
Awards. Okay.
Nominated.
Yeah. See, it's a good show.
Yeah, it's a good show.
Well, after watching one episode, coming in from your perspective,
Yeah.
knowing zero,
Knowing zero.
based on the one episode you've seen, who do you think this is for?
I got thrown through a pretty big loop on who I thought this was for
Mhm.
because, again, with the Hunger Games parallel, when we first said the name of it, I was like, okay, it's a young adult thing, right?
Halt and Catch Fire and the Chamber of Secrets.
Yeah, Halt and Catch Fire in the Chamber of Secrets. Yep, that's yeah.
Anyway.
No, it felt like the name of it felt like a young adult show. When I watched it, I was like, maybe, but not really, but maybe. So I think this is a much broader range. I think this is probably intended for people like ages like 18 to 45 was what I put down.
Yeah, that's a pretty.
I think it's
pretty
a broad. I think it's a broad range.
Right. So the the thing that I kind of noticed is that AMC is like, we're not basic cable. I'm sorry if you.
No one will ever know what just happened.
No
one
one
will
will
ever know what producer Josh just
Oh
did.
boy!
If you're wondering about what our faces look like reacting to producer Josh, because you can only hear us on your audio format, go over to the YouTubes, find this, and watch our faces because we did not expect.
no,
We're not going to explain it. We're not even going to describe
I was
it.
in the middle of having a pretty
it was a-
profound thought.
Profound's a stretch, but you were having a thought. You were.
What the fuck was I talking about?
You were talking about this show, AMC making shows. Pretty. The best part is people will go to YouTube and they still won't know.
This is the first time where producer Josh has derailed the show.
Yes,
This is his
it's
fault.
a first. This is a first. You were talking about how AMC doesn't make bad stuff.
AMC is like, hey, you know what? We're not basic cable, but we're also not HBO.
Yeah.
We're like in the middle, because like early episodes of Breaking Bad, they say fuck a couple times.
Question-
And like there's boobs.
Question
in
for
the
you.
in the first episode of Breaking Bad, there are boobies.
There are boobies, really?
Yes.
But that was on network television.
AMC.
Huh? I didn't
Yeah.
know they could get away with
So
that.
like AMC gets away. They say shit a couple times in this episode.
Mhm. Okay, question for you. Since we love this analogy,
Okay.
uh,
Not sure where this is going. Go ahead.
at the network television high school. Remember this bit?
This is
a very-
reference for all the OG listeners.
People who are longtime listeners to the audio know that
Wow.
we frequently used to categorize. We would categorize where networks fell by
that's
where they
amazing.
would be in high school.
Haven't
like
thought about this in a long
HBO was all the seniors, and then
Right.
like Showtime was like the sophomore who got swirlied.
right.
Where is in my mind, I think AMC is like the cool, disassociated junior, right? He's like hanging out,
Here's-
smoking in the
okay.
boys' room, wearing his leather jacket.
In high school,
Yeah.
I was friends with the emo kids and the skateboarding kids.
Sure.
I was also friends with the orchestra kids.
Yep. He was a boy. She was a girl.
I was also friends with some of the jocks because
Yeah.
I thought it was funny, and
Yep.
also I think it made them. They felt good knowing that there was a brown person hanging out with them. Anyway,
because of the jokes, right?
but so I think AMC is the kid that's just kind of like, we're friends with everybody.
Like AMC's cool with like it doesn't stand.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's cool with everybody.
HBO is a little pretentious. They think they're better than everyone. CBS is kind of like everyone likes them, but
Yeah.
then the rejects know that kid is overrated.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, so AMC
Yeah,
is just cool with everybody.
Yeah, they're just kind of neutral.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay.
You know.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
But no, I definitely agree with the age demographic. What about just like the type of people that this is for? I mean, it's.
I think it's meant for a slightly higher brow audience.
Here's what I think. This is for people who like video games and people who like cocaine.
I think this episode is most certainly that, and I think the 80s.
Oh my
As a
gosh!
whole.
Did we tell them what episode we're watching?
We didn't even do that. We didn't even do that.
Oh,
Just want to start this over? Let's just roll it
what are
back
we,
from
like,
the
16
minutes in. So yeah.
Well, if you got this far, we are watching season 2, episode 2, titled "New Coke."
Who am I? I'm your host. No.
You've never said that. You've never said that.
Enhance.
I feel like watching this episode has made me feel like I am currently on cocaine.
Okay. As someone,
I feel like we've been going 1,000 miles an hour on this episode.
yeah. I guess that is an analogy. You could say that okay, all right. No one on the audio format's gonna get what you just did, but that's okay. Season 2, episode 2, New Coke.
I agree with you.
You know what I think is crazy about this being 18 to 45 and just kind of throwing it in that range, though?
I'm sorry, I'm still laughing.
Yeah.
I'm still laughing about shit that happened.
I'm laughing about
12
what
minutes
producer
ago.
Josh did. Yeah, it's still in my brain. It's in the back of my brain.
Anyway, go ahead.
I think the craziest thing about this show and shows like and Breaking Bad is kind of this way too.
Yeah.
That have such a huge age demographic appeal. Is like I'm trying to imagine like an artsy senior in high school who is like very big into drama, and then like a 45-year-old man who is like also maybe into a bit more highbrow intellectual, maybe even like slightly historical drama, and then they're just sitting together talking about this show. Like they know they have nothing else in common. Like they're talking about TikTok stands and all that, and then the other guy's like, "What the hell are you talking about?" And then someone's like, "Yeah, some Halt and Catch Fire." And they're like, "Oh my god, I love that! Oh my god, I love Halt and Catch Fire!" And then it's The Bridge.
I mean, there is a group of people that love the show, so
It's got to, yeah. I mean, it's rated well.
Let's the character list is manageable. I mean, we kind of the character list is always kind of the part of the show when we're watching it where it kind of like makes or breaks if we're going to enjoy it or not.
Yeah.
A long character list is very difficult. Obviously, we watch one episode out of context. So this was fine. I guess we can kind of quickly breeze through it. The main characters are going to be, as we mentioned in the pre-roll, it's going to be your visionary, your architect, and whatever else I said.
Who are those three people, by the way?
It's going to be Cameron, Donna,
Yeah.
and
Gordon?
Gordon. Those
So
three.
then, who is Lee Pace?
Lee is the actor
He plays
Joe.
Joe, but I mean, like, who is his character then?
So Joe and Sarah
uh-huh.
and
Sarah
Sarah's
Wheeler.
dad.
Yeah.
The three of them, I feel like, have a completely detached storyline because their storyline never overlaps with the main storyline.
Right.
Again,
So you think maybe in, like, season 1, the Wheelers and
I'm going to assume somewhere between the entirety of season 1 and the first episode of season 2.
Uh-huh. Sure. Which would make sense as we didn't watch any of those episodes.
I think somewhere in that frame,
Uh-huh.
those characters might have met.
Yes. Yeah.
That's just an assumption. I don't know that.
They all worked at Pied Piper together
Sure.
before.
This is there's definitely a lot of like Silicon Valley jokes in this.
Yes.
So we mentioned Mackenzie Davis. She plays a woman named Cameron Howe.
Yeah.
Howe?
I think it's How.
Her and Donna Clark kind of run this video game company.
I'm interested. Do you think this is based on anything remotely?
I mean, it seems like there are bits of truth because they mention, IBM and
Right.
they mention, the emergence of the PC. And this is the 1980s where it's like the cusp of the technology boost is about to happen.
Yeah. Yep.
So I think they probably just like took bits and pieces of history and then like fictionalized it for television and were like, this would make a cool show, and then they just threw it at AMC.
I guess what I'm trying to say is I wonder if AMC was like, okay, 2 really strong female leads in the 80s.
Actually-
or if they were like, no, this really happened.
So
These were actually real people.
that's actually funny that you bring that up because that's in my notes. I think that is a huge selling point of why the show is so like popular is because it is 2 strong female leads. And for those of you who don't know what the Bechdel test is, it's essentially when 2 female characters are on screen, almost always they're talking about a male.
A man character.
Another male character, usually in like a relationship context. But they are always talking about
business,
tech,
and computers,
business,
and
how they can get
Yeah.
money from the venture
No,
capitalists. Like it's,
the show is very progressive in the way it portrays the 2 female
Right.
leads, and that made me wonder, like, I wonder if there weren't these 2 badass ladies in early tech who were like, we're going to build a game studio, and AMC was like, hey, this story kind of wrote itself already. Let's just doctor it up for a screen.
So, I mean, they do this kind of stuff all the time, right? Like, what's that show, HBO, Chernobyl.
Oh, yeah.
You watched that, right?
Did that really happen? What?
I can't even get to my point. Oh, man.
Wouldn't that be
okay?
so? That'd be wild.
One of the doctors,
Oh, yeah.
her actual character never existed.
Right, it was like a combination.
Yeah, she was like the the character combination of like several researchers and doctors
I think it was,
one character.
It was something like 50 different scientists that had contributed research to the Chernobyl incident,
and they just
were
kind of
summed in that one character.
For the sake of moving the story forward. So I think could be. I mean, I don't know anything about the history of IBM, so who knows? Let's see, a couple other characters that we should touch on quick. We mentioned Gordon. Gordon is played by a guy named Scoot McNairy. First of all, Scoot, love it.
It's a fake-ass name.
Love it.
That's a fake-ass
He's
name.
been in a whole bunch of stuff. You have definitely seen him, even if you don't think you have. I think he's been in, what's the zombie, AMC Zombies. What is that show?
The Walking Dead.
Yeah, I think he's been in The Walking Dead.
You mean the show we watched for the very first episode of this podcast ever?
AMC Zombies.
AMC's The Zombie Guys.
We have a guy named Tom Rendon. Tom is a character that we meet later on the episode. He is a white guy that has stolen their code and made it better.
Yep. Pretty classic trope there.
We meet a guy named Stan, who is Gordon's mustached friend.
Okay, here's my question about Stan. Is he the teacher from Stranger Things? And if not, don't tell me otherwise.
Oh, yeah, might be.
I honestly don't know. I'm looking.
Hey!
It is!
Look at that.
He's the teacher from Stranger Things. My face blindness has been cured 5 years later.
The last couple characters we sort of briefly meet, we meet a guy named Yo-Yo, who is the best. He's like the token Asian tech guy.
They're
He's
the
the best.
They're the
What is
because Ronan Lee Pace is Ronan from the
Oh,
MCU.
yeah. I knew that.
I was gonna get to that because boy is this a character departure. All of the coders for Mutiny Studios, which is the game studio in the show that Cameron and Donna run, they're awesome.
Yeah, the casting's great. It felt very like the 1980s.
Yeah.
The other kind of last couple people we meet a guy named Jacob Wheeler, who is Sarah's dad. Who is an oil tycoon.
He's an oil tycoon? Yeah, it sounds like he's an oil tycoon.
And then we meet a guy named Tom Bonham, who is the head of a venture capitalist fund, who they're trying to get money from.
Yeah.
And there's a whole bunch of other characters here and there that come and go, but those are kind of the ones that we meet in this episode.
Yes.
I think there wasn't really a weak link as far as like acting goes. I think everyone this show is very well casted, very well acted.
Here's the thing. I just have a question because it goes along with producer Josh bringing up that Lee Pace is Ronan in the MCU. Do you think if you met Lee Pace on the street, he would talk that slow? He is such a slow talk. Like if Edward James Olmos is the gravel voice,
that's a good one.
If he's gravel voice, then Lee Pace just talks so. Slow.
Would you say he speaks at a slow pace?
Slow rate?
Anyway,
Lee rate.
So there seems to be kind of three.
I had three
plot points that we'll kind of briefly highlight.
Yeah. You didn't talk about Boz, did you?
Oh, Boz, old man Boz.
Old man Boz. He is what we know of him is he is an ex-con.
John Bosworth is an old. He's an old guy that works in tech. He's an ex-convict, and he has a relationship with Cameron.
That's all we know.
But we don't know what that it almost seems like it could have been a romantic relationship.
It seems
but
like
he's
that,
like
or
70
maybe,
and she's like 25.
You know what I was thinking? I thought it might have been like a prison pen pal thing.
Yeah. Well, it is.
Because they wrote letters to each other, but we don't know if they knew each other prior to prison or.
I'm going to assume that somewhere between the entire first season and the first episode of the second season, we do figure out if
she is in a romantic relationship with Boz. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Can I tell you something that I hate about this podcast real quick?
I'm glad that you...
It took me 104 episodes to bring it up. Yeah, me too.
No, I'm glad that you ended that sentence with about this podcast.
Yeah, about this podcast.
Because I could have been... Anyway,
I recognize now that one of the hardest things to do in a drama is know what the fuck is going on when you don't know anyone's name. They were talking about Boz sending Cameron letters.
Yeah.
I didn't know who Cameron was
What is
until
it?
like 15 minutes before the end. Donna
So-
says Cameron like 2 times in a row, and I can pick up from context. Oh, that's Cameron. Because I try not to look at like the characters list
Okay,
and stuff.
so
before,
we have two very first of all for the listeners,
for the listeners
we don't watch
and
the
for
shows.
the watchers, it's the listeners, but with looks.
Wait, so are the people
They're
the people
in the-
watching don't
Yes.
have audio?
They don't have audio.
they
They
just-
have to stream it from Spotify and sync them up. They're doing a lot of work, so thank you guys.
We don't watch.
Thanks for doing that.
We don't.
And then like maybe a graphic or something. I don't know.
No,
Figure it out.
get-
We'll figure it out in post. That's incentive to watch the video alone, right there.
Every time we do funny shit, I just feel Josh go, "Damn it!"
Oh no, I literally watch. I watch producer Josh get raged when we say we're gonna do graphics.
For those of you watching and listening,
Yeah.
we don't watch the shows together,
No,
and we also have two very different approaches.
Very different approaches.
Like, I tend to pause a lot.
I don't.
I pause a lot.
Yeah.
I also tend to go through all of the characters before watching anything.
Nope.
So then I can know names right off the bat. So when they come up, I can match faces with names. You,
I'm
tend to just,
apparently a masochist because I just blow through the
You
whole
just-
thing and try and catch on.
yeah. Try to. I'm sorry. Try to what?
Catch on fire.
Question for you two.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very important question.
Yeah.
I have a feeling it might not
I
be.
don't,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
we'll find out.
Do you use captions all the time when you watch TV?
Always.
No. Oh, when I watch TV?
Always.
No.
Always.
No. Only
Can you-
only when I'm watching dubbed anime.
Can we? I want to sidetrack. Please
Uh-huh.
explain your reasons why you do or do not.
What do you got?
I tend to be able to follow things more closely, especially if there's parts where maybe someone mumbles or maybe someone has a thick accent of something or maybe something like the sound effects are too loud and you like miss what they said. Like I can read it. I don't know.
That makes sense. I usually am. I'm about to say my reasoning, and it sounds so depressed. I'm not. Listen, everyone. I'm okay. It's okay. I'm okay.
He's fine.
I'm fine.
He's fine.
That's fine. I usually when I watch TV, I'm alone. It was tied so perfectly to you drinking that. Oh, people
no.
people watching this will get a delight because this is probably one of
I
the
just
visually
spit
best
on the floor.
episodes we've ever had. No, I just mean that like I don't watch TV like with a lot of people, so like I'm just kind of like whatever. I've noticed
Oh,
though
man.
that a lot of times if I watch with subtitles, I get too focused. I feel like I'm like reading it and like picturing it, and then there's a part of my brain that's like looks up 3 inches, and I'm like, oh my god, there are pictures. Why am I imagining what this show
See,
is
I-
by reading it
I
when
don't
I
have,
can?
I don't have that issue. I'm able to read and watch at the same time. The only thing that subtitles sometimes does that can be frustrating is like the subtitles
Wait,
don't match with things that are happening, and like you'll read things before they happen.
wait.
Okay.
Do we have subtitles?
I don't.
Do we? Do you see them?
I don't
I don't
know.
know if they're.
We'll find out.
We'll find out this week on You've Never Seen That. Subtitles. We haven't seen them. Do you know? Are they there?
There wasn't really any point to that question. I just
Just-
wanted.
well, you were just curious.
I just wanted to see.
I know that
I just
you-
wanted to know that Haas is right and Bellamy is completely
I know.
wrong.
I know that you are.
Continue.
You are personally against subtitles, but I'm team
It
subtitles.
is
all the way.
more than
Hey,
personal. I am so against it.
if you have an opinion on the subtitles or not, leave it in the comments of our Instagram or our YouTube page.
Yeah,
links
hey.
here. Okay, let's highlight these kind of 3 plot points quick.
Sure. So there's
Um,
3 main plots. First of all,
Old
we
guy and his
have-
daughter.
Yep, we have old guy and his daughter, the Wheelers.
Yep.
And we have Lee Pace trying to smash.
Joe
Um,
McMillan.
Yep.
Joe, I think, becomes the bad guy.
Yeah, that would make sense. The very first note I took is we open on an art gallery in a hangar. Kind of seems like things an old white guy villain would do.
I feel like, because again in the pre-roll we mentioned that IBM is on the cusp of new technology, but it opens the door for competition, and I think the competition is Joe.
Yep, that makes sense.
Go on.
So
So that's
That's
A.
plot point A. Plot point B is
I think which is the main.
I think it is the main one, but it comes up later. It comes up a second in our episode. You know what, you're right. I would call this the main plot, and I would call Joe Wheeler the secondary plot.
Yeah.
The main plot is the Mutiny Studios, which is something has happened where Gordon has come into a bunch of money. Donna and Gordon being married.
Yep.
Donna and Cameron are building an internet-based video game studio. So we can thank them for our Xbox Live subscription fees. That video game studio is kind of like the main point, I think, of season 2. And then there's a tertiary plot, which is they need leadership at their studio. It sounds like Donna...
Funding.
Yeah, leadership and funding. And it sounds like Donna is kind of like their accountant.
Yeah.
She's like their business hand.
The
and
whole
Cameron
thing,
leads the tech development.
The two of them run this mutiny thing, but they have two very polarizing, not only just polarizing
views,
approaches, but like
I
their
think they
characters
have different skill sets.
Their characters are also very different.
Yeah,
it's true. It's like the creative side and the account side.
Yeah,
it's very much.
Yep.
Yeah. Cameron being kind of like the creative side, she's like, I wear ripped jeans and I
don't care about my appearance because I am into the computers.
It's the 1980s and I'm a hot chick. And then like Donna's like, I'm also a hot chick, but I'm also a business lady.
So they're both hot?
Yeah.
Yep, they are. That checks.
Cool.
Hold on, let me just check the IMDb. The thermometer says.
There's a thermometer?
Both hot chicks.
So
Boz, they bring Boz in. Cameron brings Boz in to be the CEO of Mutiny, and Donna gets kind of blindsided by it. And that's like the tertiary plot.
Okay, so I'm going to sort of sidetrack a little bit.
Okay, yeah. That is what this is for.
I thought, and I could also maybe be right that this happens later on in the seasons.
Uh-huh.
I'm probably wrong.
Yeah.
But I thought that this was way more about like hacking into and like taking over governments and like deep state technology.
V for Vendetta.
And I
Mr. Robot.
As
I can see how you could think that because Lee Pace.
As I was watching this episode, I was like, okay, maybe they all realize that they're these like computer programming video game geniuses. And then somewhere they meet someone who's like, your skills in video games could be used to take down who's the enemy in the 1980s?
The Russians?
The Russians. And then like it turns into this whole kind of like.
To be fair, it very well might.
I mean, that's what I thought that this show was about. So
our particular episode kind of sets the stage for that plot.
That's what I mean. And my person like. When I saw that this whole episode was just about video games, I was like, huh, I guess I was just 80% right.
You were 1980% right.
Cool. Well, let's kind of highlight each plot point. So for the first one, again, we don't really know how Jacob, Sarah, and Joe relate to this main plot point.
Right.
The only thing we know is that we think that Joe eventually becomes the bad guy.
We think that Joe eventually becomes the bad guy, and it sounds almost... You know what it feels like without knowing any context? It feels like Lee Pace kind of does like a hostile takeover thing.
Yeah.
To Joe.
Yeah.
And while Joe is building a company to rival Mutiny.
Well, it's that kind of like...
And then it almost seems like Sarah's like... No, screw you, Dad, and evil ex-boyfriend.
Yes,
now I'm going to go help the good guy.
It is kind of this trope that you've seen in other movies.
If I'm right about that, by the way, YouTube and Twitter and stuff, like, throw that in the comments because I want to know.
It's kind of this trope that you've seen in other movies and other shows where it's like the girl's dad owns a big business and can offer the guy a job, but the guy doesn't want to take the job and work for her wait a minute, her wife's or his girlfriend's dad because it's like, I can be my own man.
We've watched this show before.
Was it called White Collar?
Yeah, no. Yes.
Maybe it was Leverage.
Suits.
The fact that we just looked at each other and said two shows.
Two very different shows.
Are they though?
They're not.
Leverage, White Collar, and Suits.
Same show.
They're all the same.
Yeah. No, I swear we've watched this show before, though.
Tell me that those shows are all the same without telling me the shows are all the same.
You know what? I'll do you one better. Those shows are all the same. I don't have to. They're all the same show.
Oh God, yeah, but you know what I mean. It's that trope
it's a
that
trope.
you've
It's-
seen
yeah.
it. You've seen it a million times, and he's like, "Well, I could work for the oil tycoon, but 3D printmaking is coming up."
I think it was 3D modeling. I don't think they had 3D
Yeah.
printing back then.
And that's kind of briefly all we get. Eventually, we do see that Joe sells out. He ends up working for Jacob Wheeler.
Yeah.
Doesn't
go well.
It doesn't go well.
Doesn't go well.
It's not what he expected because he's just doing hand
Data entry. Yeah.
And that's
to be fair, data entry in the 80s probably
and then
sucked.
the ending of the episode is kind of this sort of cliffhanger where
Well,
he
so
gets
when John Wheeler offers Lee Pace the job,
Joe.
when
Yes, yes.
when he offers him the job, he tells him that he knows that he doesn't really have any other option than
Right.
to accept his offer. In and of itself, a terrible trope. But then he's like, "You couldn't get a job selling waffle irons," and you're like, "Well, I bet this comes back."
Yeah.
Sure enough, end of the episode, he sends his girlfriend's father a waffle
Jacob.
iron.
Yeah. Gets a waffle iron. There is no name on it. And it just says thank you for the offer.
Yeah. So is that not Grand Moff Tarkin?
I mean,
Is
maybe.
it
I
not?
don't know. Plot B is kind of the main plot.
Yeah.
There's a lot happening here.
This plot has like two or three subplots kind of rolled up under it.
So
right?
Mutiny is a game, or
It's a-
Mutiny is the company?
It's I think it's both. It's the game studio.
Because
but
the game is Battle Tanks.
well, the Mutiny is a company that creates and codes internet-based multiplayer games.
Right, in the 1980s.
In the 1980s, and they have, I think they said they have 6 different games, right?
One of them being Battle Tanks.
One of them being Battle Tanks, one of them being Parallax, which sounds like an early RPG.
Yeah. And then the other kind of subplot is that Gordon... Well, we know that the three of them work on it, right? Gordon has been doing lots of cocaine.
Yes.
Yes.
We-
And
yeah.
so in his kind of coke fervor, he starts to realize that a lot of these games are broken.
Yeah.
And starts to like do coke, play the games, and kind of figure out what's wrong with the bugs.
You know what's funny is remember when we watched The Good Doctor and we made fun of The Good Doctor because we said it was like autism was his superpower?
Good Doctor.
It had the
Willy
Bates
Wonka
Motel, Billy Mont's.
the Willy Wonka kid.
Yeah, August Rush.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
And like they did the trope where it was like autism was his superpower, where he like sees all of the different organs or whatever. Is this guy's superpower cocaine? Because it seems like his superpower is cocaine.
When he's on the cocaine, he's like he becomes like a quality assurance.
Yeah, and it
a
seems like
QA testing.
They make it a point to be like he knows computers.
Oh,
he
yeah.
knows his stuff.
I mean, I will say that anytime they mention anything about coding or any like video game
Yeah.
jargon,
Yep.
it sounds very real.
I did notice something funny. I'm pretty sure when so Gordon came into a bunch of money. They sold some development. Maybe they fixed the IBM problem in season 1.
Yeah.
And that's where he got all this money from. But Gordon goes out and buys a new computer and a modem.
It
and
is
sets
cool. It is cool when we see that because he's a kid in a candy store. He's got
Yeah.
a box. There's an Atari box. There's a
Yeah.
Commodore box. There's a whole bunch of like modems and all these like things.
What's up, producer Josh?
I just thought of something really
Yeah.
funny and stupid.
Sure.
And since this is a
Share
good
it.
time to share it.
That's what it's about. Yeah.
So since I work in the support realm of IT,
Uh-huh.
how funny would it be when somebody asks me, "Can you make my computer go faster if I just dump cocaine on it?"
You're like, trust me, I saw this in an episode of Halt and Catch Fire. It's gonna work. Shake.
And then I send them a link to this episode.
Salty.
I mean, maybe that's the
That's
answer.
how we get more subscribers on our YouTube.
If you
Cocaine.
take,
Yes.
if you
We
take
we'll sell cocaine with little links to our podcast.
if you take anything away from this episode,
It's that.
do cocaine.
And you will be good at computing. That's about it. Yep. Yeah. Well, it was fun doing
Yeah.
this podcast while we did. I'm sorry.
I just have
YouTube
a deep feeling that segment is going to be cut and taken and put out of context somewhere.
I do get that feeling. Yep, I
Anyway.
really do. No, so
the scene
so,
where he is opening up all the stuff is cool.
It is cool, but I noticed one thing when he opens up all and he sets up all his computers and it shows the like blue screen, right? The DOS screen.
Yeah.
It says that he has 64 gigabytes of RAM installed. I was like, dog, that's a lot of RAM for today.
That is true.
Like, I mean, it's obviously not the same RAM and everything, but this dude's computer was stacked.
I do laugh because it's like, they talk about this is like the early first stages of online gaming. So they're like, there's 60 people online.
There's
and it's
120
like,
users.
Their computers just can't handle 60 people, and now it's like, I don't know, there's millions of people on Fortnite right now. Let's see. What the other? There's a interesting scene where we meet John Bosworth.
Yeah.
He literally pulls a Willy Wonka.
Yeah, he does.
Like,
yep. He has a cane and he doesn't need it.
He has a cane. He comes into their studio, and everyone seemingly knows who he is. They know of his past.
Yeah.
We, the viewer,
have
or actually, I would say,
we, the podcast
me
viewer,
and you don't know what's going on.
Is.
Comes in with a cane. Everyone kind of watches him.
Fortnite currently has 6 million people online. Yep.
As of right now.
As of this moment.
He comes in with the cane, limps over and sits down and like sets the cane down. He's like out of breath, and everyone like is kind of wondering why he's there. And then he literally just pops up and he's like, "Waka waka," and like, "Let's code." And you're like, "What?" He's the Willy Wonka.
Oh, I'm sorry, 6.5 million people online.
So the introduction of this character was very weird to me because we don't know anything about
this
him.
whole arc of Boz is so weird because he shows up, everybody seems to know him, they know he's a convict, he Willy Wonkas them, then they haze him, but like in a very like actually really mean way about his past as a criminal.
Super fucked up.
They like put like a license plate and like drop soap and do all these like waka wakas, but they're mean waka wakas. And he like takes it all.
Yeah.
But then at the end of it, Cameron's like, she wasn't smoking and she isn't a gruff Southern man, but she was like, "Buzz, I'm really sorry you had to go through that." Y'all know they just ain't really like. She tries to have like a heart to heart with him, and he's like, "I just don't know. I just don't know if I can do it."
The other kind of two things that happen in this mutiny plot is that we are introduced by a guy named Tom who has kind of infiltrated their game through a backdoor system and like hijacked it, but
he is the one that hacks them.
But he made it
better. Yeah.
And then we go through a bunch of scenes where they confront him, they find where he lives, and confront him, which inevitably ends up with him working.
I feel like this plot point is actually probably pretty close to the truth,
Yeah.
Like if you're good enough to figure out the way around someone's code and they catch you, they're not going to be like, "Lock him up." They're going to be like, "How did you do that? And how can we pay you so that doesn't happen anymore?"
And then the other kind of subplot is that Gordon, while being high, realizes that Battle Tanks is broken, and he does drugs until he can figure out why. And then he comes to some epiphany of like using new tech to solve XYZ. I don't know. He just does a bunch of coke, and he's like, and then like everything comes together.
One of the best parts about the
Gordon, like doing coke for real,
right? Which I definitely
do coke, kids.
Is there like a graphic going to show up about that? Like, nah.
Oh, no.
I really hope not. There better not.
I really hope me telling children to do cocaine doesn't.
Yeah, I don't think YouTube's going to be super thrilled about this. I don't work there, but I'm going to guess.
We barely work here.
Damn it. The one of the biggest things about this is we get the sense that Gordon is looking for something to do, and originally he thinks that something is cocaine.
Yeah.
And then he starts fixing problems with computers because that's his calling.
Right.
And the very end of the episode is him. He tells them how to fix battle tanks. They fix battle tanks. He starts saying like, well, if this guy can if Tom Reardon, the hacker, can cram 12 users onto one phone line, you don't actually have 120 users. You might have 120 times 12 users.
Yeah.
Because he's sharing all this. Tom Reardon's sharing, his parallax black bootleg copy that he made. He's sharing the information about how to get all these users onto one line. And Gordon is like, well, if we can figure that out, the company's suddenly worth so much more money because you don't have 120,000 or 120 users. You might have like 14,000 users.
Yeah, the exponential numbers are just like...
So Gordon sits down with his computer and he starts going, enhance.
Correct.
Enhance. And he, as he's doing this, he has his vial of cocaine next to him, and he looks at his vial of cocaine.
Are you gonna say it?
He throws it in the trash while he's working on this.
Here we go.
He throws it in the trash while he's working on this because working on computing is his new coke. I hope there's like streamers and everything. Because that's the name of the episode.
Oh.
New coke.
Oh,
Which you would
man.
know if you listened to the first 16 minutes of the podcast, because we didn't say it in the first 15.
Oh boy, that was
All right, real quick.
That was a lot.
Real quick. This is important.
Yeah.
Bang, bang, banging, dead, dying, die.
I think it's just called Bang Bang Dead.
Bang Bang
I
Dead?
think it's just called Bang Bang Dead.
Bang, bang, dead. I like that. It took us 105 episodes to get here, but bang, bang, dead.
I have a feeling there's a lot
Oh,
of both.
I get it, because like one bang is the sexing, and the other bang is like a gun, and like they're dead. I get it now.
Yeah, Bang Bang Dead.
Bang, bang, dead.
I have a feeling
Yes.
there's a lot of both.
It seems like there is a lot of both, yeah. If you have to pick 3 characters right now who bone it out, who are they? They don't have to bone it out with each other. They just have to get boning.
all the married couples. So
Okay. So Gordon fucks. Gets super high on coke and bones it out.
I feel like Cameron meets a guy.
I think Cameron and Tom Reardon get busy.
Maybe that. I mean,
I think they get busy.
Yeah, that could be. Maybe.
Yeah.
I hope my boy Yo-Yo.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, Yo-Yo or Wonder
I hope
Boy.
my boy Yo-Yo does.
Yo-Yo or Wonder Boy.
Here's the thing: when we talk about dying, I don't know. I
Somebody.
can't tell.
Boz dies.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm sure- for sure.
Or maybe
Joe?
Sarah's dad.
Joe. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
I think that's actually
John Wheeler.
Jacob.
Jacob Wheeler.
There's a Jacob. There's a John. There's a Joe.
Yeah.
Come on, get it together. You can pick any names you want. You created the show. You can pick any names. You pick a Joe, John, and Jacob. Jingleheimer Schmidt.
Producer Josh seems to think.
Producer Josh. Wow.
Producer Josh.
Sorry.
He seems to think that Stan bones.
What?
Stan dies.
Bones to death.
He bones to death.
Stan is a very interesting character.
He finds the cocaine.
He doesn't,
and then
he
bones to death.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a last name.
He's like, I'm sick of teaching these kids science, and then he bones to death.
He doesn't have a last name. He also doesn't really contribute much to the story, but he also seems like he's a
He
character
seems
that
like he's
shows
a
up a lot.
recurring character,
Yeah.
though. Yeah.
So he has to die, right?
You'd think he would die.
There's not going to be an episode where they highlight him
I don't
banging.
banging it out. Just doing a.
So after all of that, after watching this episode, after
Yes.
coming in completely cold, not knowing anything,
Yeah.
talking through it for the last 48 minutes of this podcast,
Yep.
how do you feel about this show? What do you think about it? What do you give it on a scale of 1 to 10?
All right. This
We
show
talked about things
for-
earlier, and I told you not to stop talking and save it for the podcast.
Yes. I have to do 2 things.
Sure.
I have to do 2 things. Because one is, and we do this a lot frequently on the show, we will say whether we think this is a good show, and we say whether or not we like this show.
Right.
Those are 2 different things.
Right.
I will say I thought this was a really good show.
Uh-huh.
I think it's an AMC caliber show.
Mhm.
Like, to find out that it has 90% on Rotten Tomatoes,
Good old thermometer.
the thermometer, it makes sense to me, right? I don't know if it's just our episode, or I think maybe it was the kind of the writing for me. Like, the acting is phenomenal. The plot itself is pretty good. Like, it's a kind of a cool concept. It's
Yeah.
basically Silicon Valley in the 80s and a drama and not as much of a comedy.
Yeah.
But still comedic to a degree. So, like, it's a cool premise. They cast it really well. I think the writing has a little bit to be desired from me.
Sure.
I just think, like, some things, like the trope of being like, oh, go. My father wants to know if you can take care of me, so go work for him,
Yeah.
and he's gonna give you the dirtiest job. But then you're gonna make your way up there, and we're gonna screw over the people from season 1.
And for that to be the first thing that we see in this episode was kind of a
yeah, and then like the whole like the Boz Cameron relationship is like not defined. Everyone seems to know exactly what it is, but then no one mentions it ever. But we have no idea what it is.
Well,
and
how many episodes have you seen? Of this show?
Almost like I've
just this
only
one.
seen
Okay, just this one.
one
This
episode.
specific
Just
one.
this
okay.
episode.
Okay. Yeah. I got it.
I think for me, empirically, like if I were to be like a critic of this show, the 7.9 to 8.3 range that it like lands in, I think that's totally deserved.
But what is your personal?
My personal feelings
What
on
do
this,
you, as the doctor, give this show?
I'm gonna give it like a 6.5. It was just kind of lukewarm for me, right?
Sure.
Interesting, awesome. I had never heard of it. Now that I've heard of it, I'm probably not gonna watch it. But I can recognize that I thought it was a good show.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with a lot of points. I
think you're gonna rate this higher. 'Cause I think
this is generally, like, when we rate the shows, we're usually within the same couple points.
Yeah.
Like, we generally agree on things. Maybe we'll disagree. I think, like, we disagree kind of a lot on this one. This one kind of got me.
I had a feeling it might.
I thought it was interesting. I thought it was well acted. I thought that this is like the themes and the kind of cornerstones of the show is something that you haven't seen anywhere else. There's also a dog that's squeaking a toy in the background.
Yeah, that's not part of the show.
That's
part of
actually
our
happening
show.
right
That's
now.
part of our show.
And yeah, I think that like this has a lot of room to go in a lot of directions.
Can I ask you a question though?
Before
Before we get to your number,
I will allow it.
Do you see yourself watching this show?
That's what I was going to get at.
Yeah.
I tend to put shows into I'll never watch this again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad we're done recording it,
Yeah.
and I'll never have to come back to this.
Suits.
Sure. The other one would be once I'm done watching whatever show I'm currently watching, this is what I'm watching next.
Yep.
And then the back burner.
Yeah.
Like, this is a show that I think, like, if I finish the show I'm watching currently, and I only have a couple episodes of Kim's Convenience left.
Oh, see you.
Okay, see you. I think this is definitely a show, and also knowing that it's like easily accessible on Netflix.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I will probably at some point start this show.
Okay,
It might not be the next show that I watch, but at some point I might be like, I need to watch a show. Oh yeah, Halt and Catch Fire.
I would put I would put this on the back burner. Halt and Catch Fire. Just like the Wizards of Wit.
Yep.
Halt and Catch Fire for me is like it's hard back burner, right? Like if someone that I cared about greatly was like, we gotta watch all of Halt and Catch Fire.
Yeah.
I would be like, okay, fine, I'll do it. But it's not one that I'm gonna be like, oh dang, can't wait for that new episode of Loki. Guess I'll catch up on Halt and Catch Fire.
I think sometime in the near future, when I'm out of shows to watch and I'm racking my brain,
really out of
No.
shows to watch?
No one is ever out of shows to watch.
That's this world.
That
That's
is
this day and age.
the how this
It's
podcast
the-
came
it's
to
the
be.
exact reason for this podcast.
We've told the story a million times.
Yeah.
We were in a
It's
dressing
a
room.
tale as old as time.
We were in a dressing room for our friend who was getting married,
Mm-hmm.
and he was taking too long. And I said, we should start a podcast. What if we did this? And you said, what if we did this? And then we both said, what if we did both of those things?
And here we are.
4 years later. Out of
105 episodes.
out of 10, it's pretty. I think it's pretty good.
Yeah?
Like
What are you giving it?
just under an 8, like a 7.8.
Okay.
Like, it's pretty good.
But that's still, we're still within like
Yeah,
one
yeah,
and a
yeah,
half
yeah.
points of each other. I mean, it's
Yeah,
not.
yeah. I mean, I feel like
We've
I
never
think
we've
I-
never ended something where one of us has
polar
been like,
opposites.
this is a
I
10,
love
and
it, I hate
someone
it.
else is like, this is complete dog shit.
honestly that actually might have happened. We just don't remember because we've done too many of these.
That's true.
I
I remember you being a huge fan of Blue Bloods and me just thinking it was okay.
Can we just real quick?
Yeah.
We need some input from the listeners.
Okay. All right.
How
How do you want to do this? Do you want to do this for the listeners where we like don't look at the camera? Because it doesn't involve
either.
the. Okay, so it does involve the. Hey, you.
Is Is Lucifer a good show?
It's still going.
No. Not only is it still going, but it is like
It is huge.
wildly popular.
Wildly
And it is
popular.
like #1 on Netflix, and everyone's like, I fucking love Lucifer.
You know what?
And like,
You want me to take this one? I'll take this one.
Sure.
You want me to take this?
while you do that, producer Josh, why don't you dig into the hat and tell us what we are watching next week? Talk to the camera.
All right, Josh, if you can play me in with a little something, like little some, we'll do this. Hey, guys. So, no. Sit down, pal. It's okay. We, your father and I were rummaging in your room, and we found your Netflix queue. We saw Lucifer. We just want you to know we're worried about you. It's a terrible show, son. It's an awful show. We're just worried. We know that you're young, and you think that it's sexy, and that there's a naked devil man on the hero image on Netflix, but be careful. That's all we're saying. Shitty television is a gateway drug. It starts off this way. It starts off with Lucifer, and pretty soon you're watching Invader Zim. And then you're buying fedoras at Hot Topic. Just be careful. We're worried about you. I think that was enough time. I think that was probably enough time. Do we have a show for next week?
Real quick.
Producer Josh is like, no, I was caught up in that. I don't.
Real quick, if you are listening to the show or watching the show and enjoy it,
And you enjoy it.
the two things you can do that would help us is #1, tell a friend, tell someone.
You want me to talk to him about this one too? Hey guys, it's me again.
It's your dad. Tell someone that you think might like it. If there's a show that we've recently done that you know, a friend who has strong feelings about them, send them our way.
Yep.
Follow us on Instagram, YNSC Podcast. Follow us on and subscribe to us on YouTube. Watch all the hard work that we. And I say
Producer Josh.
When I say we, I just mean
Producer Josh puts in a lot of work. You guys didn't see it earlier, but Bellamy crumpled up something in a graphic and threw it. We don't know if that's going to happen yet, but it might.
Oh, boy. Follow us on both those places. Like, subscribe, share, tell people. You're the reason why we somehow are still doing this 4 years later. All that being said, Producer Josh,
what do we got?
Are we watching next week?
Next week we are watching. Turn this over.
Halt and Catch Fire.
Young Sheldon.
Big Little Lies.
Ooh.
Oh,
That's
okay.
a heavy hitter.
Yeah, this is Shalane Woolwell. Shalane.
I believe.
Shillelagh Woolham.
I believe it is HBO.
It is, yes.
This is the show that I think is Sharp Objects, which is not.
It's not.
Sharp Objects and Big Little Lies are actually two different shows.
There are two different shows.
Roll the dice.
2 seasons. There's only 2 seasons.
Go ahead and do evens odds.
Oh, look. Laura Dern is in this?
Oh, big Laura Dern fan.
Yeah. Do you guys remember when Laura Dern...
I just love that he turns the mic on so we can hear the dice roll.
You remember when...
It's content.
Remember? You know what? It really ups the resale value. You guys remember when Laura Dern was in Jurassic Park?
Sure
That's all
do.
I got.
Okay. What do we get?
Odds.
So season 1.
Season 1.
Episode 10?
Season 1, episode 10. That might be the finale. These
looks like there's only, I don't know how many
7 episodes.
Okay, so season 10, season 1, episode... Okay, what? What are we
You're going to sit here until I get it.
You can roll an 8-sided
Yeah, you
die.
could have done
Yeah,
it.
the dice are not here.
Yeah,
Somebody
man.
had D&D yesterday.
I
and
did, and they're in the bag behind you. Sorry, I was with my grunkle Stan, and
Doesn't matter. We're watching season 1, episode 1.
Oh,
baby!
All
we
right.
haven't done one of these in a while.
Premiere.
Somebody's dead.
Oh.
The description, episode title, season 1, episode 1, Big Little Lies, Somebody's Dead. A suspicious death at an elementary school fundraiser draws attention to the frictions among 3 mothers and their families.
Next week on You've Never Seen That.
Big
world.
Pretty
Big Time Rush.
Pretty Little Lies.
Pretty Little Lies on HBO. Next week we will be watching Big Little Lies, season 1, episode 1. Somebody's Dead.
Find us on the internet at any of the places listed and tell us what you think. We will see you next week. Bye.
You never seen that.